That ship is long gone, mate. That fight does not excite me. I was already cut and bleeding. I looked up at the clock and I saw 13 minutes on the clock, and from the way he was breathing, I said, brother, this is going to be a long night for you. I feel like locking the two of us in a cage is just a one-way trip to the hospital. Yeah, I've seen that. Just get something I want, brother. Like there's absolutely nothing. I'm not excited for that fight. The guy's coming off 2 losses. He's been sitting on the shelf. I called him out for Perth. I asked him if he wanted to fight in Perth. He wasn't ready. Now he's ready. Like that ship is long gone, mate. That fight does not excite me. It obviously excites him, but I have absolutely nothing to gain from that fight.
Yep, fair enough. Thought we'd get that one out of the way. Navajo Stirling just fought in Contender Series. Massive knockout finish on what was a pretty lacklustre card. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I expected from that fight. Like, if I'm hand on my heart, being honest, that's what I expected from Navajo Stirling. I have some pretty high expectations from Navajo, and I have some pretty high expectations from Aaron Toad next weekend. We're expecting, with Navajo and Aaron, we're expecting to walk out of the Apex with 2 UFC contracts. That's the first part of the plan. So there's high expectations. So it is an incredible victory. It is, he gets a big knockout, he gets a UFC contract, but can I say that I'm surprised by that performance? Like, I know the kid's capabilities, I know the potential that Navajo Stirling has. So he's just, for me, there was no real surprise in that fight. That's what I expected to happen, and that's what I'm expecting to happen next week with Aaron Tohu, is to leave the Apex with another UFC fighter from City Kickboxing.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about Aaron Tao. I believe you found him. Like you kind of let him into the industry and gave him a bit of a contract, was it? Or
Yeah, well, like when I was running my gym, I had like a mentorship program running at the gym, and he came over from Australia. He made the trip from Brisbane to New Zealand. He obviously impressed me very much with like his raw physicality and raw talent. And he won the first mentorship program at my gym. And he was an amateur MMA fighter at the time, training in Brisbane. And then once he started training at my gym, like I was able to coach him and manage him for the first, I believe, 7 fights of his professional career. He's now 8-0 and getting an opportunity on Contender Series. So we'll fly over to Las Vegas and get him a UFC contract.
Oscar Willis, good friend of yours and ours at Engage and AB. He's got a bare knuckle fight coming up. You're in his corner.
Yeah, he sure does. So while I'm going over for Aaron's fight to Las Vegas, I'll also be there for about a week, and I get the chance to do a little bit of training with Oscar and help him prepare for his bare knuckle fight. And we'll go to a bullfighting arena in Spain in October, which is pretty incredible. It's one of those things that you just have to do. That's in terms of getting my interest, that's just something that I will not look away from. That gets me excited. That gives me a lot of energy. So I'll be flying over in October to Conor in Spain, and it's an incredible fight. Obviously, Conor McGregor's co-promoting the event. There's a lot of big name fighters. There's a lot of big name artists coming. It's going to be a huge event. And Oscar Willis is fighting Ben Davis on the card, bare knuckle. For guys in the media to not only report on the sport, but also get in there to that level with fighting without gloves is kind of they're proving their worth to the industry.
Awesome. And then touched on Conor McGregor, like you're gonna maybe bump into him and maybe have a beer with him after the fight.
Yeah, well, it's his event. From the outside looking in, I feel like I think like there's always over the years I've had a pretty close relationship with Oscar Willis, who runs the Mac Life, which is obviously Conor McGregor's media brand, and I feel like there's always been like a lot of respect there. will we fight each other? Of course, but we'll fight damn near any man in the world, I think, from both sides of the coin. So I feel like we'll get on well. I feel like it's his show, so there's chances are we're going to bump into each other, have a couple of beers, and and have a good night. Let's just say that, have a good night or two.
I think you'd get along well. All right, turning attention to, I guess, what's next. Obviously coming off a great win in Perth. How's the body holding up?
No, I'm good. I'm back in the gym. Be back to sparring probably Saturday by the end of the week, and get over to Las Vegas, get to the PI. Obviously move around there, any niggles or anything, the physios at the PI will get squared away. But yeah, like, I'm already itching to get back into the gym. I'll be prepared to fight by the end of the year, so whatever comes. But obviously looking up, you're on a 3-fight win streak in the top 5. The only other guy in the top 5 on a win streak is Arman, and he's fighting for the world title, and that's kind of set in stone. So that leaves, there's the big 3 in front of me, obviously huge names in the sport, and they'll be looking to take something off me. So I'm looking. My eyes are definitely looking forward.
So when you say the big 3, who's the big 3?
Oliveira, Gagey, and Poirier are all fighters that are obviously huge names in the division, all ranked ahead of me and coming off losses. So to get back on a win streak, they'll obviously be looking to take the momentum that I've built over the last wee bit.
Yeah, does anyone else spark your interest? There's a rematch there with Poirier, or does you've got a guy like Gaethje who was in line for a title and then fought for the BMF and coming off a loss, but was a great fight. Was there any interest there?
All exciting fights. Obviously, the Oliveira fight is there. That's something I called for in Perth as well. It was a bit hard to get then, but that's a pretty hard fight to deny now. Obviously, I'd take the rematch against. I'd like to get that rematch against Poirier at some stage. But from that fight, outside looking in, that's a fighter that kind of put his gloves down in the last fight and said he was kind of walking away. So that's a fight. Whenever someone puts their gloves down and retires, that's not really a fight that I will hunt. Like, obviously, that's a fight that he would be looking at. But I can't see him wanting to run that back anytime soon. When there's a lot, out of respect, there's a lot easier fights out there than running it back off me for 25 minutes. And obviously, Justin Gaethje is. I think that fight sells itself. I feel like locking the two of us in a cage is just a one-way trip to the hospital. That'll be a hard one to pass up.
Going into Perth, coming off 2 wins, your last 2 fights were against guys that were, one guy wasn't ranked and then another guy was ranked behind you. Then coming into Perth, coming on a 2-fight win streak against Gamrot, a fight you weren't meant to win. As the odds makers say. Going into that fight, like, what was your mentality like coming on?
Yeah, just a bit of a chip on my shoulder. The last 3, the previous fight was he's on a 5-fight win streak, and the question for that fight was he doesn't deserve to be ranked. And then I went out there and just made him look like an absolute clown. So it's you obviously ask that question that he is a step above people that are not ranked and these young guys coming up in the division. Then the next question is obviously maybe he doesn't deserve to be ranked in the top 10. And then Jalen Turner at the time, who was another, people talk stylistic matchups, but I'm long, use my range. This is a guy that's longer. So I feel like he was picked against me because that card was stacked as well for me to kind of get beaten. And I answered that question. Definitely deserves to be in the top 10. And then the final question is from kind of the fights that I dropped, is that he can't grapple. Well, I feel like I've answered all 3 of those questions. Does he deserve to be ranked? Is he a top 10 quality fighter? Can he grapple? You tell me, Bubba, because this guy that's supposed to be a stylistic nightmare for me, I pretty much made his life an absolute nightmare.
Do you remember the moment that you were like in that fight against Gamrot that you were like, yeah, you're done? I've got this?
Yeah, it was from the first takedown. The first time he got me down, and he was on top of me, and he was breathing like real shallow, and he was panicking, and I was on the bottom, and I looked up I picked up at the clock. I was already cut and bleeding. I looked up at the clock, and I saw 13 minutes on the clock, and from the way he was breathing, I said, brother, this is going to be a long night for you, because that's where the more chaotic the fight is, the more comfortable that I get in the fight. That's like when after the second round, and then Huge and Andre come in, and they were like a little bit, you do this, and I was just absolutely wasn't listening to them. And then I just said that to them as a way of letting them know that just relax, boys. This is under control. Like, winning and losing is not a concern of mine right now. I'm just enjoying myself. And I know that at this stage of the fights, I've seen so many quality fighters wilter and fall to bits. And the guy, it's not who wants it the most. It's not the guy who's the fittest. It's not the guy who's, ticked all the boxes at that stage. It's the guy that wants to be there that's going to get his hand raised at the end of the day. So I feel like at that stage, after the second, I could have fought for another 3 rounds. I just wanted to be there more than he wanted to be there.
Yeah. And you referenced when you said, I love this shit, like that's probably the moment you were talking about when Eugene and Andre were giving you advice.
I love that. I love that. I love because when else you name anyone else, like 99.9% of people work on the face of the earth, are they ever going to be that tired in their lives? Are they ever going to be that beaten up in their life? Are they going to ever have the deck stacked against them that much in their lives? And to get that feeling is difficult. Is you have to work so hard to get that feeling. And so, most people shy away from that feeling, and most people. But that feeling scares a lot of people. But like me, I feel there's nowhere else I feel more comfortable in this world than being tired and beaten up and exhausted and losing, and which is like a funny way. It's like a real funny way to think, but it's just where I feel comfortable.